A scientific research accident led the research team to discover the bones of a god deep underground. Aiden Carter, as the new person in charge, was going to descend into the abyss to investigate the truth. This was originally the Colorado Underground Laboratory, located 2,400 meters underground, the deepest laboratory in the world, used for researching dark matter. Jack Thompson was sitting in the isolation room, silent. Through the one-way glass, Aiden Carter could observe that his gaze was fixed on the door. "What are you looking at?" Jack Thompson, like a wound-up machine, stared wide-eyed and stiffly turned his neck. "I'm looking at the cross, the cross." Aiden Carter looked down at the surveillance screen. A beam of light was shining through the crack of the isolation room door, forming a long and narrow cross-shaped shadow on the floor. "Does it have any special meaning?" Aiden Carter asked again. "I don't know. I advise you to escape quickly. From here, from this abyss, back to the surface. There's still time." Jack, Aiden Carter sighed and said, "I just parachuted in here. I'm completely in the dark. I need to know what happened here." Jack Thompson wanted to smoke, but Aiden Carter refused him. The once optimistic and cheerful colleague had suddenly turned into a walking corpse, which would make anyone feel uneasy. Jack Thompson lowered his head, his voice hoarse, and slowly recounted what he had witnessed. "In a chance collision experiment in 2011, we discovered a single photon that was in an entangled state with another photon. Strangely enough, we couldn't find the other photon. At the same time, the non-local effect of the other photon was reflected on the photon we were observing. It changed from a particle to a wave right before our eyes. To put it in an inappropriate analogy, wave-particle duality is like two mystery boxes, each containing different or the same things. As long as we open one of them, the contents of the other box will inevitably become the same as the former. This is the non-local effect of quantum. But the situation we encountered back then was like we only saw one mystery box, and the other one disappeared. We saw the ball inside the box change into a cube right under our noses, without any external influence. In other words, there was an observer for the other box, and the physics of this world was based on it. From its perspective, the thing in the box was a cube, so the other box, that is, the photon we were observing, also became a cube. This was not just a shock to the edifice of modern physics. More importantly, there was unknown intelligent life on Earth, and we didn't know where they were. I was in charge of that project back then, Jack Thompson said. At the request of the country, I classified this discovery as a top secret. Since then, the country has been spending a lot of manpower and resources to search for the other photon. Did you find it? No, but we found the direction. Where? Underground. In 2012, Jack Thompson led the research team to find the approximate direction of the other photon. It was right beneath the Colorado laboratory. Thus, an engineering project far more magnificent than the Kola Superdeep borehole quietly began. They dug out the entire mountain above the Colorado laboratory, leaving only a thin layer of earth covering it. Then they dismantled the Colorado laboratory and started digging downward. For every kilometer dug downward, they had to expand the passage, build elevators, construct horizontal buildings, and establish new laboratories. After confirming that the photon was still below in the laboratory, they would continue digging downward. This project was like a bottomless pit, swallowing up a large amount of funds all the time. Until 2031, this year, the inverted triangle-shaped building had extended to 35 kilometers underground, which was when they were about to break through the Earth's crust and enter the mantle. Then an accident happened. In previous experiments, there would always be a strange photon in each observation group. We might have been in a synchronous tacit understanding with another observer. Jack Thompson paused, took a deep breath, and continued. This means that the other side, like us, had been continuously observing the photon. While we were searching, they were also approaching us. Do you mean there are intelligent life forms underground? Aiden Carter asked. I don't know. Jack Thompson shook his head. I don't know if the term life form is applicable to them. Even tardigrades can only tolerate a temperature of 150 degrees Celsius, and the place where we are now has a temperature as high as 967 degrees Celsius. Once we step out of this building, we'll be instantly roasted into dried corpses. I can't imagine what kind of life could survive in such a harsh environment. What Jack Thompson said was so incredible that Aiden Carter couldn't help but start thinking about other possibilities. Could it be an undiscovered special physical phenomenon? Originally, there was such a possibility. Jack Thompson's expression gradually distorted, and he said with a laugh-cry face, "But not anymore. Theoretically, the mantle is solid." But just in case, the geologists in the research team had made full preparations in advance. They manufactured alloy drill bits that could withstand extremely high temperatures and wore heavy protective suits like spacesuits to drill in the designated uninhabited area. This was to collect samples and understand the situation of the mantle. After drilling to 1,000 meters deep, Henry Wilson, the person in charge of the exploration, discovered something abnormal. The data stopped changing, and the temperature of the drill bit no longer increased. Theoretically, once the drill bit had pierced the lithosphere and entered the mantle, the temperature should have been getting higher. Since the mantle was likely to be a fluid, it was expected that the drill bit would be burned out. But strangely enough, the drill bit was operating normally, and the detected temperature was constantly at 1,000 degrees Celsius. Even though it was continuing to go down, the data didn't change at all.